In the news tonight, protests continue to escalate in Iran. We'll have the very latest. Also tonight, Daryl Albertine is home from Albany. He'll weigh in on the mess that's known as New York State Senate. And it's graduation day for seniors at Watertown's IHC. The Saturday edition of 7 News starts right now.
Welcome home to the North Country's finest. You're watching 7 News. The news with Kevin Torres, John Kubis weather, and Rob Crone on sports.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kevin Torres. Usually we begin this newscast with the day's local news, but because of the continuing escalation over in Iran, we begin tonight in the Middle East. In Tehran this morning, more protests erupted in the city's streets. They were so intense, Iranian police fired tear gas and water cannons to try and stop them. CBS News correspondent Ari Srinivasan has the very latest.
Hundreds of protesters ran through the streets of Tehran after police fired tear gas and water cannons at them. Witnesses say police had beaten dozens of demonstrators. A report that was substantiated by Iran's state-controlled Press TV.
Hundreds of baton-wielding security forces are trying to pacify the crowds.
CBS News correspondent Elizabeth Palmer says police held back some protesters from reaching Revolution Square in the city's downtown.
We heard what sounded like shots or tear gas. It was impossible to tell.
Protesters are defying an order from Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei to support the results of last week's presidential election, when hardliner Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was declared the winner. But opposition leader Mir Hossein Mousavi hasn't backed down, releasing a statement that the vote should be annulled. Some of his followers have even attacked militia members on motorcycles.
In a show of solidarity to let their relatives in Iran know that the world is watching, protesters gathered in cities around the world in marches and demonstrations.
No more killing in Iran!
More protests took place in Washington and in Australia and France. President Obama challenged the Iranian government to stop what he calls violent and unjust actions against its people.
I think ultimately the Iranian people will obtain justice.
With the violence growing in Iran, the president says the entire world is watching. In New York, Hari Srinivasan, 7 News.
Back here in the North Country, State Senator Daryl Albertine has finally returned home from Albany. After spending 2 weeks of bickering back and forth and accomplishing absolutely nothing, Albertine says New York State Senate is finally ready to get back to work. He says the session will go on as usual Monday. Albertine says there is a lot of work left to do.
Right now, my main concern is legislation that does need to be passed, legislation like Power for Jobs, local home rule bills and so forth need to be done, and I'm confident we'll be able to do that this week.
Senator Albertine says if the work is not finished by the end of Monday, Governor Patterson will most likely call for a special session on Wednesday. At least 3 fire departments were called to Campo Basso in the town of Theresa this afternoon to battle a camper fire. We're told the camper was fully engulfed in flames and eventually burned to the ground. No one was injured. Well, for our viewers in Kingston, Canadian police have found that escaped convict who walked away from the minimum security Frontenac institution in Kingston last week. Andrew John Wood was arrested back in 1989 for killing a Toronto man. Well, it took more than a dozen years and a couple $100,000 to complete, but the town of Philadelphia finally has a brand new park. 7 News reporter Rachel Kent tells us why it took so long to complete and why it cost so much.
Dedicated to all citizens who have provided service to our community, to our country and our community.
It's for all people because it takes so many people to make a community and their service to the community.
This is the newly finished Philadelphia Town Park and Recreation Center. The project started back in 1994 by former town supervisor John Keishel. He applied for state grants and bought over a former dairy farm. And now, 16 years later, the park is complete.
It takes a long time to make these things happen. It is a positive thing. And I think everyone needs to understand that it takes a long time to make things like this happen.
The 56-acre park has already had its share of traffic.
We've had reunions here. We've had weddings here already.
Current town supervisor Cheryl Horton has been working on the project since 1996, and she says there were days when she didn't think the recreation park was going to happen.
You stick with things and you believe in them, they eventually can become a reality if you work hard.
And now, here it is, a park the town says will be a landmark for all of northern New York. Rachel Kent, 7 News.
It's just about 6:05 and you're looking live right now over the city of Watertown where it's raining. Showers have been on and off throughout the day. To see what's in store for the rest of the evening, we turn to John Kubis over in the Weather Center. John, should we have our umbrellas ready if we're going to go out this evening?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, as long as you're in Jefferson and Lewis counties, I'll tell you what, in St. Lawrence County, you're asking yourself, what rain? What are you talking about? It hasn't been raining, especially up by Messina and Ogdensburg. Really no rain in sight, but for us, at least southern portions of the viewing area, yeah, we've been dealing with rain pretty much all day. Let's check the real-time Doppler radar really quick. This is what I'm talking about. Rain pretty much steady for the last couple of hours here in Jefferson County and also Lewis County. Some breaks in the rain, northern portions of Jefferson County, but look at St. Lawrence County. Not too much going on. That's been the case over the last couple of hours or so. We're going to hold on to this rain, especially here in Watertown and places like Lowville and such for at least the evening and the overnight hours. But you in St. Lawrence County, maybe a couple of rain showers. That's really about it. 68 with light rain falling out at the airport. And tonight, rain showers except up in St. Lawrence County where you'll just have lots of clouds and maybe a couple of sprinkles now and again. Lows right around 58 degrees. Tomorrow's not looking too bad once we get past tomorrow morning. Details on your improving forecast coming up here in a bit.
All right, thanks, John. Around your world tonight, Pakistan's military took journalists to a part of the Swat Valley today, where it says high-intense operations against the Taliban will soon be completed. Major General Sajjad Ghani told reporters about 95% of the area had been cleared, and the army now only faced resistance in the Biha Valley. A truck bomb exploded near a Shiite mosque in northern Iraq today, killing at least 25 people and wounding dozens. Worshippers were leaving the mosque in the Taza area following noon prayers when the truck exploded. In Kenya, an American destroyer arrived in the country's second-largest city for a 6-day initiative aimed ultimately at strengthening maritime safety and security in Africa. The ship and crew plan to host a combination of classroom and hands-on practical applications. Heavy security was in place in the heart of Athens this morning as Greece prepared to open its highly anticipated new Acropolis Museum. The museum is the centerpiece of national efforts to regain the Parthenian marbles. And when we return, Rob Crone will be in with sports, plus more local news. We'll take you to IHC in Watertown and introduce you to 56 high school seniors who received their diplomas today. Then we'll take you over Cape Vincent for a community-wide yard sale. Stay tuned. John Kubis' full forecast is only minutes away.